May 17, 2022, and a year Kennedy Agyapong on a year former MP of a year Asin Central, say chairman of a year King City. Or no ebetro some name be better some name be added to media not to say a year anas aremeya anas a year okum nipa say or ye wudini na nsem bebre okukuku China is for they say a year nipa no ne just na kwa no ne ye adwuma friend a year ameswali enso ye obi a ono na ye de ekun ne ka sem bebre ma sansem yo kan yi ebes trend day ye call a social media number be abonten so ema ho nsem ekọ ya ma na nkofo kura asole na mobo anase di na anase o katakata nim nyina yi sensem ye den ehihye akire okaka nsem we nyina ma nsem na eda ho na ehome na we mu enche ye bia anaye Kennedy Agyapong sakosu Keviv Talyor for defamation say wakaka nsem a enye no credit atono so ordinary kwakwasa 9 million US dollars enti no omo court ema Keviv Talyor ewini ye enti no mom na twe anas adwen ba so say wait me de obi court akwakwasiu ni because o ka won asem na say so watwa ntro de ato so dia ene mem nsem a wo kan ye de ene e do so pan ne oboabo nsem na no nyina na say ode Kennedy Agyapong court ema wo Ghana ha ya mamudi asem no ba mudi asem no Kennedy ene wini ye na omo chema that day na omo ka court no asem no yesu behwe de ye former MP wo courtroom hono ma ese woni se ka kire so otimi busa otimi question judge ne say de ba se munim me wonim onu kura meme ye ese o kaka nsem bebre wo hono timi shate judge ne like otimi kasa na nim basa ma judge no kwatimi ka say ene Mr Kennedy Mr ma nyanto boase like ye krokro na anya de ma em na ma on ye den ewini that case no ana we me ya ant na sam no so sa not there bi se Ghana na we ni dia ene o sa do be de ebetu akwa ya America nso de ni ko US ene so ho mkodi asam no so mkodi asam na mko ka asam no ana ye Kennedy be ka cha judge ne say omaka asem no kwa wo Ghana ama waye de we win case ndada e wona judge no be kire mus e be kire no muse sa case na wo ka no eno mu din wo Ghana asen so a different state ntino we win wo Ghana doesn't mean say asen so awso ba no e wo say ka so we win ntino ai mo fatem ne den e fa nko ma win de be ntita wo say mo tena se na so mo ka kansam ni nyina na sama mo sha so mo de court ayi koma ye Kennedy o widi mu nyina ohwe niam e won nsam ni mu a say one hwe ya asimegbu ede ebebu abon na so ye say or the $10,000 ko amoma koma end case no ba oye okoye na aremya set kan de onye de onje no ska ono open no enye bi ni $10,000 na oye de oba be end case nto onje set kan so mokotena asne say omotena asne omo kan nsem ya na so asem ya beka bia no wo ho evidence ntino sa wo se wakunipa ono ne kunu weka yo ne ye argument ne Chinese for bebreba so akomu na for evidence ye de bra nte honom no ye nya information kakra edi free aremeya o representation na say obi o represent na e wo court e friend Ivan Salasi enso be kasa kakra e wo ma no so kire se omo mo ka so for evidence e fam bra no Kennedy edi video bi ba ye na say obi gine ma ai say omo ntimi shede hu say ye pig preko no mabonituo ana say ya bobi no mabonituo de muntimi enchire but omo de sa video no ye dey e ba be kire court say video no mo ye de mo kan evidence no kan enu ni but court anje sa video no de China and because omo hu details about video na ye dey o kire ana say ye areme ya na ye dey ana ekun onukọ na so oku Chinese for ne dey e wo video num so mo church nsem we ya kaka e de so bo mo de bobo ni ba kwa odu bi mo de bobo ni bia omo de bobo ni ma evidence that dey na omo nsa anye dey anka e ma ho no court e ka sesa de ne arem ya na ye dey e win case na say one alpha case ntino e ka o pese otwia Kennedy twia ma ye anat no eye 18 million US dollars ntino ohia says kano omo fa says kanembra enti omo ye so mbesane apel Kennedy ye so mbesane apel ye de aba na mu na Ivan Salasi ye aremeya ne lawyer ne bechi mu se court ne se o betima twa apel de aba na answer no betwa apel ne de aba ne de aje o de 18 million US dollars ne de begu table so ma ye hu se esika na o de aba no enye ompe transfer ompe in cash o de begu ho ma ye hu se esika no ye de eni answer na letter na watwa aba na say apel na watwa aba no obebe bie mu abeken kan hu say okay say na wo mo say efrem ama say efrem say ansa no mbete so ma ye de yo mate so no mpana so mo nte so nso a omo so mpana say abani asem na wacho no ma omo ente so ne no kwa mu wie ye na say areme ya no e kana order to say 18 million US dollars no almost times try dey chire no mo twen say ye kana didi na apel no be dey ebeba no mo de ba wi a so be times no so be ti so be dey no eno ye ni na be dey ebebro.
Good evening, lawyer.
Good evening, Kevin.
Thank you very much. My first question to you is a very difficult one. You speak English, you speak from your name Salasi, you speak ever like me, Melakope. Do you speak the Akan language?
Yes, please, I speak.
Good.
Tree, yeah.
It makes it easy for you and easy for me too. Good evening and welcome back to the show. Today, we got news that Anas Arimyao Anas, Oye Ghanani, Oye investigative journalist, his work, over the years, he has gone through a lot of court appearances, in Ghana and also in the United States. And the Agyapong say Kennedy Agyapong or former MP. A few years ago, announced the investigative piece by na FA football home GFA, and at the end of the day, Nyoma Bibrisi, one of his colleagues on any investigations near the day, Ahmed Swale, FMU, Ehre. After that, series of Nyama Esi, a lot of information about out from Kennedy Agyapong, and a lot of allegations that were made against Anas. Say it wouldn't crumple Ahmed Swale, at the point Kennedy was insinuating on radio and on TV, say Anas Nimhubi. A lot of things were said by Kennedy Agyapong. He even went further to have a whole documentary session at his premises. Otunedin, who watches The Watchman, Obo video, trying to create the impression that whatever Anas put out initially as the original documentary, he has the original tapes that were hidden and all that. Now, fast forward, Anas felt to say there was a lot of allegations made. He thought he needed to clean himself because of the reputation he carries and also his work, or ended up in New Jersey in a court. To make it easy for us, we are one of the lawyers for Anas, and I want to state again, Udini Evans Salasi Adika, renowned lawyer. Pacho, can you run us through how it started and how we got to know today, say, a judgment in the New Jersey court? Abba.
Okay, Mr. P. The interesting thing is, I quite remember that you were sued in the U.S. sometime in 2021.
Yes. And
that actually caused my clients to begin inquiring about possibly if there was anything out there, whether it will be actionable in the U.S. Mm. So you have some significance to today's events. So shortly after, when you were going through your motion to dismiss, we actually took a keen interest in that case and reviewed all the pleadings. Mm. And during that time also, my client informed me of a video that was circulating on social media. I just say, and someone just like what kind about my client. So, like, as the intellectuals that we are, we started opening the books and try to see where we can lay a claim. And so, interesting enough, after reviewing the video, in our training, there's something that we are taught. So, in your case, it has to pass the test, and the case has to stand on all fours, which means that you do an analysis of whether there's jurisdiction in place, whether you have all the elements of each claim that you want to bring, So we went through all of that, and my conclusion was yes, on the basis of video now, my client is send them, you tweet back court, New Jersey, yes, and say, papa no video no, so papa na and the moon some say, or Casafini fee, New Jersey. Now, when you say, the diaspora is very important. Obviously, what you do is testament to that fact. And there was an audience that he spoke to. We're Ghana for. They all take a keen interest in the happenings in Ghana, especially the politics in Ghana. So we thought, there was solid grounds for us to be in the court in New Jersey. So I advised my clients accordingly. Now I wouldn't say a lawyer. So obviously he was an integral part of what was going on in the preparatory stage. At that time, I am a U.S. trained lawyer, but I currently only practice in Ghana. And there was a team of us. I'd like to say congratulations to my learned colleague Ode Crow. He was a part of yes, he was counsel of record in Ghana. So I pulled him into the research, and we drafted a complaint. And like a lawyer, so we did the work, and he actually filed it himself. So after the preliminary back and forth, initially the case was we sued in 2022.
Okay. Yes.
We filed suit sometime, I think.
The complaint.
Yeah, sometime, I think, in the summer of 2022.
May 17th, 2022.
Yes. And by law, there was a period by which Yapapano Anka was or responded with what is known as an answer. But so Yapapano filed a response, and my case no call into default. Now, after a period of default, you can actually go for judgment. Now, a case near Fale, we filed on 3 counts. But I couldn't say a chrome or a chrome 4. The second one was or you wouldn't in terms of Onuna or behind the medal of Yenuya Ahmed Swale.
Yeah.
Now, the third one, so say Yenuya no a serial killer in terms of Chinese for Bibribi Ghana. And then the fourth one is or a criminal, the blanket word criminal. And then the fifth one by implication, Onuno behind Woody Sembiana, that means say Abiana no trigger man and also no be sekan and say perform the physical act that led to the foreseeable events, which is Obi a. So we also included a count that he is that he claims that my client a co-conspirator in multiple serial killings. So that was basically the gravamen of our complaint. And when it went on undefended after the response time, now we began to make preparations to move for judgment. But being that I was in Ghana and we are all based in Ghana, we reached within our network and we partnered with 2 brilliant lawyers who I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate. Okay. Atawemega Esquire, he was the father figure of the team of lawyers, and a brilliant trial lawyer by the name of Ahmed D3Ath. These are all brilliant Ghanaian lawyers on this case. And at that point, we recruited them as counsel of record, and the case went. At that point, Kennedy's lawyers came in, obviously because near judgment for the full $30 million. And so he had counsel, and counsel came and also did his thing. Reopen default, they argued that they had a solid defense, and I think right around then, and I almost got judgments from Ghana, really see it. And I know so say defense to case
because
New Jersey.
We need Ghana, so our case
exactly.
It's only no case. Okay.
So as defense against, but the interesting thing is that the defamation sits here say kind of the work for court. It's a separate case.
Yeah.
It's not to mean to Ghana and from the defending way. You still have to prove the truth of it. And this time, in this jurisdiction, the law is the same essentially because Ghana but you sound so free other countries. There are certain times that even though any of presidential value, I just said, dead into me, so India, but to me, the two who na senior, especially in cases maybe you decided that type of a case. And Emrano is the same as Ghana. Procedurally, there are certain nuances. Sometimes in terms of certain dates, you have to do certain things by. And also in New Jersey, Emra drafted complaints. We were fully aware that we were required to prove what we were claiming by a higher standard than in Ghana.
Yeah.
Yes. In this case, and not even that. In this case, we were required to prove our case not by the normal civil standard, by a clear and convincing evidence standard.
Okay.
And they responded with that, and they were able to successfully reopen the default, which paved way for them to file an answer. And they filed an answer which essentially claimed that there was some sort of back and forth between him and Anas. And we took it for what it's worth, and we forged on. And we finally got our trial date sometime earlier this year, and it was postponed. And then we finally went to trial last Monday. We started trial on Monday, and we put up our case. My client testified. He testified. He brought other witnesses, and after listening to both sides. Senior Krumano. Answer na ever try case the difference between what happened with Ghana and see Johannes said. Trial by jury. Any judge or judge back one I say judge me, no one I say judge me and send a BDS seminar. But normal people among the streets of New Jersey, tax-paying citizens, and a twin from. In this case, we started off with veneer. That's the technical word for. When the prospective jurors are brought in, we are from a veneer. The veneer of 60 citizens, taxpaying citizens of the state of New Jersey, specifically Newark, New Jersey, and its surroundings, were brought in, and after what is known as Boadaya, which is the process by which they are questioned to see if they have any sort of bias or anything that will stand
for Ghana for your vetiomo.
Version just said obi nim asem hu bia na so onimu bia asem we fan ho ana say obi wo hwa bia nyame bi osom no. So we went through all of that. That was day one. That took from a year to the end of the day. And so on Tuesday we came to court and we had our opening statements. They had their opening statements. And then we proceeded to put on our evidence. And at the close of the evidence, the jury was instructed, Judge, in this case, Judge, Ometro Emrano. Na Omodiama, jury, no Ometro Mumu, Omeking Kanachro first. No more so amo paper Omodibeko inside. Aquaco decide the different deliberations. Me nim the son of a country, but me just say okay. And there are some more about Thursday about 4:30. Yeah, the church room running now, and there are some more 4:30. Into now, I say we be an 4:30. No, caught a punk right around that time, which is I believe consistent with the practice in I know it's consistent with the practice in Ghana. Into no, I just so baby at Nana, take a deep breath and reflect on what has transpired during the past 4 days. And about 20 minutes later, we got word that the jury. So as part of the defense, I think it's only fair that Meka charges counts na the buy and the civil claims na the buy. His defense was also although Oka said it was some sort of just based banter between him and Uniano, he came to court and asserted truth as his defense. And so
time I court was say sa counting na mode bono no say on Anas back and forth, right? The only claim or make it. Or say a banter, I just say we can't wait in it and share or no, they're not all can you say ubi to be more almost tomorrow.
But you do court media that was not
and your son of what kind of record no G2.
Yeah, be or maintaining the position say no can originate or down standing by no kind.
Okay.
Basically, remember just or practice no crane di no onye boni bia.
Okay.
So to support that, no, or the move you try your in it to who watches a watchman. But the announced by as on only defense, and so the jury had the opportunity to evaluate that and factored that in the analysis. And obviously, it was not the weight that they wanted the jury to accord to it. So jury never bugui. And about 20 minutes later, the jury came back with a verdict, and there were the multiplicity of very quick. And there was a multiplicity of questions that were posed to the jury. That's the way how they arrived at the decision. It's and also unanimous. People who were picked off the streets of not picked off the streets of New Jersey, but they're to answer from based on address, voter registration data. And to but within 20 minutes, they saw through everything and said no. So they came back and there was not even one juror that sided with Yapapana Samuakam.
All against
8-0 on every count and on every question that was posed to the jury, including damages now about no Biedun Komono. And also crown there was a unanimous decision. I just say it was a solid decision of the jury. 20 minutes said there was no doubt in our presentation to what you kind of lay people. These are not experts in the law.
Yeah, they are just
these are lay
people who just sat and used their common sense to come to a conclusion.
No. I would not say use their. I would not say use their common sense.
They listen to you and they listen to the other part. It makes sense though.
And then the law is the law. No judge in this world has any power to bend the law. That sort of conduct is what causes strife and war in places.
Yeah.
America had the judge actually before the judge ever kind jury instruction, but catch jurors and say, oh no, only to be it's asem we mu na you man kwa obetwan say obekkan mra and that's how it went. But you know what's interesting about Nisi and or a lawyer ni contrary, even though people don't give him credit for that.
At least Bonidina muhu anas asem na working.
But anas, anas. And also a very astute lawyer, Onimumra pa, new beer, your dream. And and some people walk cry a car on Jintumu, but sometimes a team of legal team to we come to a compromise. Now, he has been adamant about clearing his name because I have a personal experience of understanding. It's one of the worst things that can happen to someone.
Yeah.
And he absolutely took the position that he wanted a trial. He's not interested in any settlement. He's not here for the money. He's here to clear his good name that he has built over time. And in his profession, at this time, Anka also started doing one. So he always maintained that he wanted a trial to the point where sometimes there was a disagreement in the legal team. Now, procedurally, America, the peace. Schedule say, and from this time to this time, staff that work we are dedicating it to your case. It's no small matter.
I know. I've been there. It's not easy.
Before they will go to trial, there's mandatory settlement conference. I bet say this maybe by this time we'll be say grown or they'll commit to the rights and senses and decide say this shouldn't go on because yes. And I acquire unfortunately me Anas disagreed with me, but I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million, just like the jury came back. As you know, these days we have all kind of tools that we can use to predict certain things.
Before you go ahead, this is where the contention is, and people saying 80 million, others saying a year 30 million. Now, when you read,
well, we'll come to that. Let me clarify. Let me just clarify.
Yeah.
Okay, complaints there the coin. Yeah, claim for $30 million, $30 million.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. And what I'm saying is that at the before the mandatory settlement conference, or before the jury is empaneled, even though my client had firmly informed me he had no intention of settling this case because he believes that he ought to go to a jury of his peers to clear his name. But maybe cause near Jumano so no say, let's just prepare our settlement memorandum, be thorough and be reasonable.
Yeah.
And even though he protested, I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million US. Okay. Now you do settlement conference, yeah, papa about court. Now the lawyers just say what he was willing to settle this matter for, and they said $10,000. So honestly,
it's clarification is very, very important. Normally Ghana.
Okay.
Into Muko Drew Hono, and that's initially ne kind of simple street language, and the damages are not paid around $30 million. And the client and Anas Kasa say a woman saw pay $30 million, and yes, he can't all pay. In fact, he wants his name to be cleared, and then the priority of going to court.
Yes.
But because of the experience, now unim CB and your material, no client here and ask Kasa and say it would be better and to be reasonable to at least settle on $18 million. And I'll say, Okra no client and us, you did not really agree, but because he respects you as his counsel and as a lawyer, you people ended up around that money, around that figure, which is $80 million.
Oh yes, and like I said, your lawyer at Awemega, New York.
Oh, yeah.
And also come home. And Andrew D here.
Yeah, you are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Wemega is there.
Yes,
D here is there. Crow is there. Yourself. Basically, as we are speaking to you, we are speaking to all of them because.
Yes. So, the whole team agreed on that, but he was the only reluctant one in settling the matter. But procedurally, we couldn't go to trial without actually going through to the settlement conference.
Yes.
Now, in spite of his reservations, we still almost cut our demand down to about a little over half.
Okay.
But to our surprise, you have a panel buy and also no bit $10,000 to end the case.
No.
I want to arbitrate and who said no, some way he's saying I'm sure so I can papers, So he said basically go and take your gamble in the courtroom. So that's how we ended up going to trial. So to go back to how it ended, so at about 4:50 on Thursday. And the jury brought us in and they told us unanimously what they had arrived at. But, we decided to keep it under wraps because, there was a component, you multiply 18 million by 5, money do 90 million. For a total of about...
That was the plan.
Yeah, that was the plan. Yeah. Because
to do that. Okay.
Yes. And then you decided to say but we are with coming public with the finding of culpability on Thursday.
Yeah.
Pay a coin we ended up leaving that alone. A pursuit of ×5 because almost file emotions be I just say or say to a boss na in terms of that and sana say one way or another I could pursue that ×5 and I say depending on what happens, maybe I between me German and cafe. But at this time, almost my court no say almost be into swore.
Okay. So at this point, my court who say beba 80 million or almost pentiswo. How many days do they have to file that?
Okay. So at this point, the next thing that's going to happen is that there's going to be a paper. A judgment. I just say court reading seal better so.
Yeah.
That would take a few days, and then after that, I believe there's a 5-day rule that's within which you can file that motion. So a bay motion, Matisse Binukasa appeal by Nya appeal in Drew, depending on how that motion goes. No,
Okay.
we will get a chance. We may get a chance to attempt to get our times 5 of that 18 million, or a big jam and so depending on how that motion goes.
Motion goes. So for now,
yes.
18, no, Obintiminka said that is the end of the case. It depends.
No, it's not because hypothetically, so much to grab back 10, we still have the opportunity to go for times 5.
That is 50. Okay.
Yeah, into call extra 50 plus. Yeah, hypothetically, so much to back 10, we can go for another times 5.
You as a Ghanaian and also a lawyer and defending a fellow lawyer who is a journalist. This has been an experience. Do you want to share something with us when it comes to these kind of defamations and how comparing our judicial system back home and in the States? I'm not forcing you to condemn any, but I'm trying to find out from you. There are so many people in Ghana, they don't really understand how the American judiciary works because we are so used to the Ghana style of judiciary whereby things go a certain way. And I would say sometimes very, very slow. And sometimes you need to know something for even things to move the pace you want. In terms of how this case, how fluid it went, and comparing it to back home. I'm saying back home because I am more concerned back home, and especially when Kennedy presented a case where we knew fear, which is the same defamation case, and he tried to use that as a basis that what he did was right. From your experience as a professional, what have you? I don't want to say what have you learned. What have you? What do you want to share something with us before you go?
Yeah. Me share all the young people in Ghana. Me show them crying say, yeah. Now the country is a young country, so I tend not to criticize too strongly. Yeah. But Oman and young people need to take their rightful position in the country because you know, my only thing is that the young people see that it's wrong or they know it's wrong, they need to stand up for their rights. The country is still young, so I would not be pointing any fingers at anybody. But we do my American, I'm a school from high school, I lawyer, and you know, I know America very well, and for the past 7 years, I was licensed in Ghana in 2014, and I've been practicing actively for the last 7 years in Ghana. See, I know the problems that we face. I wouldn't. I think it's a systemic problem that allows people to hide in there to sort of engage in certain conduct because Democrats, you know, say the system, justice system, if it does not guarantee justice, and then one day, you know, there's going to be a problem. And you know, Omano, I like to direct my comments to all young politicians, those who have entered the fray, you know, about 40 and less, you know. Let's not, if we see things that are not right, let's not say because you benefited from it because your party we want to say party we you know, we're going to condone it. We all need to make sure that we are contributing to building a Ghana that we can all live in. And you know, I would like to end on that. The system is not perfect. There are many things that we can do to also improve it. I will not talk about the substance of some of the things, but I also think the judiciary in Ghana is burdened with a lot of work. There are certain things that exist here in the US that they don't have that perhaps need to be implemented. Some of these judges in this country, in the US, are ably assisted by law clerks who help them lessen their burden. But like I said, the young people in Ghana, we need to look at ourselves because I've had judges tell me, say, I've suggested that, and I've had judges tell me, say, oh no, if a young person cry, but an office on a year, who want to say, oh, leaky judgment, before the judgment is granted. So I will not be pointing fingers at, what happened in Ghana was a travesty of justice. I'll say that without mincing words.
Defamation na Kennedy win here no.
Absolutely, because I'm now a solid which back to the maybe can say before a court can pronounce someone as a criminal, no, there ought to be a due process ought to be followed. And I have a publication that that's going to come out on this subject in a very near future. For the courts to have called my client a criminal without giving him a criminal trial was a travesty of justice. And the court in New Jersey rightfully classified that as obiter is dicta. It can never be a criminal conviction.
So that
because
was,
one of the things
that was how the court in New Jersey, the Superior Court in New Jersey, actually addressed that particular.
Yes, because the will be criminal. The will be criminal. You can bring proof to say the person has been adjudged to be a criminal. You understand? So the Ghana judgment by court jurors and when we brought a police clearance certificate at CID headquarters through the proper normal channels, we got it. It was sealed before we brought it to court, and that was giving more credence than what the judge said about Anas being a criminal, because that is the right thing.
How do you feel as a Ghanaian lawyer, a young Ghanaian lawyer standing before a U.S. judge, making a statement like this from a court in Ghana? I feel it's quite embarrassing.
Like I said, our country is growing. We are. The U.S. is 200 and something years old. We are 60 something years old. So I like to always look at things from an optimistic standpoint. I hope that this is going to be a lesson, because Ghana is not. Ghana. Just by dint of even some of your papa no cry amount for him Ghana. Ufa Uber Krumwa. I remember say in the middle of the trial, Uber be a driver and I catch him say, I'm for Ghana tourism country. Mano is young, but it's a country that we all need to protect and we need to guard zealously. And that starts from the delivery of justice, because no one should have to feel that they need to go outside the four corners of Ghana to get justice. Justice emanates from the people, and we have enough people in Ghana. Because I saw say recently, judges know they are educating people about the jury system. As part of our civic responsibility, it will also go a long way. Along with amending laws, to allow more juror participation in different kinds of cases now.
Lawyer Evans Selassie Adeka, our 70 Esquire. So thank you very much. And I'll also say thank you to your colleagues that helped. In this case, Andrew D3Ath, also Arthur Wemega Esquire, and Aday Crow. I'd like to say, I really appreciate your time. You've educated us and also made things very clear to Ghanaians.
I'd like to point something else. So there were a few things that I think I glossed over. I think I told you, said the threshold that we had to meet in the US was much higher than in Ghana. And in that regard, one of the allegations that was made, say you are a serial killer in terms of multiple Chinese. What was appalling, and I say, video say proof. Say, proof say, I'll be dinner stand, no, say, Chinese for video, it was an embarrassment because it do some video be, I mean, say, preconayo, Namoya hangi wo, only say, Umquabua, Omangi Mamujano Soneno.
Yeah, and then on Bishop say,
I mean, say, no criminal to say, no, and I say, but it was definitely what he said he was going to produce, and I think that really disgusted the jury, because and it's not something to accuse someone of likely.
Thank you very much for clarifying this. Evan Selassie Adeka Esquire, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate every single minute you've shared with us here. At least, we are to rest for now. From your explanation on that's a case we enya end there. The response from the defendant, Kennedy Agyapong, the lawyers, so we're waiting for them to also file what they have to file. Now, I share where it goes from where we are now.
And just to clarify, any response, so Omono and Kanaya Baba for times 5 for no.
Yeah.
Omo the assembly attitude, just say, yeah, no person more. Now, for the sake of transparency, no, be in that time now, or yes, we be yano na. Almost them there, judge and better so. The almost them when you dance why we did not 18 na yeah decided say, you know, we have some decisions to make. What I say, you become not appeal, but the thing is appeal, no, the difficulty is appeal, no, US no. Answer no, but me appeal, no, he needs to put the full $18 million down in a bond. Answer no, with me appeal, no. And you know. We you know Bob Bryant today I'm sure say you know depending on how that goes, you know, we have the prerogative of deciding say we have a go for times 5 based on that 18 million if it stands, and I say almost so bad hypothetically and said even 10 and I say 12 krana will still decide to say say you know Buana was or bar up with a nice offer so bit canana what union I'm not saying because I told you union or no Kuranadian or no so a lawyer, you know, we'll work on we'll entertain that and decide say okay ABI Bijan Mu I young pesa times 5 no and I say because change now but for times 5 no. Because there are certain other things that happen. There are certain things that also happen that will influence our decision one way or another.
Yeah. Lawyer, we will be on standby. And I know, sir,
okay,
baby, I know we will come back for more clarification and education. We really appreciate you very much. Evans Salasi Adeka Esquire, he has been our guest. He is one of the lawyers of Alnas Arim Yao Anas. Wachech and Senu Ejujum Emagana for Ehuno Kreno. I really want to say thank you very much to lawyer Ivan Salasi and the other lawyers or counsels that helped him, and I said Omoba together as a team to make sure Anas has a solid or had a solid legal team backing him. No, Mr. Arthur Wemega Esquire, he was part of the council Anas lawyers. No, Andrew here is also part of Anas legal team. No, and Odei Crow was part, and as you know, lawyer Ivan Salasi Adeka on your screen, he was also part of Anas legal team. No.
When na ema hu say ewias no te wono ma wa no do beko wa no sa do beba anu we ye di nchine di edi sugar ese de be ye bia no edi betimi do me etimi hira wan hweye na ma wa no koyi wuka baby a help e wo no wa no be yi wuka ma e honom no obehu se Nyankopon e yodo me nka ndada me hama wa se mesu bebrebe me twan amamode de wo se omode ka ho no omode aka ho aba ma yehu se ewias no wote wono ma sebi adwe no ubetimi adwen papa no adwen bone so kakra yede e de aka ho efima ko se tuntum ha the voice tv on subscribe na wa subscribe na wa share to ade se de be possible bi amonsa ebeka bi juma de we style health clinic na aso yase style health clinic juma ko bi mo ye expert in fiber the ban mema ho awo say yes special married na ha wana sa de be special kwada do ani atwe style health clinic obo hu omo ka so a tunya ne doma ane kumase be 0249 200555 0249 200555 Oyo obi a upenyi pass wuni nyin wabodji se ni nyin utiri wuni nyin na pese nkra ese wonsa ho abenya nyin sane manema na wuni wape help a wape product bit ma boa woni na wunya bi wo ha woni na so atwa ubehia eye afro hair solution cream and oil very 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 effective what I say na say FDA approved in way there's no side effects be there e wo ho e say very effective to use as see and where there one improvement e wo ho obefa number na e da ho no na say wa place order na abeje wo de omo ye delivery ko ba bia and e say freestyle health clinic na ye de e say ba wontum say omo de omo ye papa and omo ye de omo de bant no we there there's no doubt about it and say wo obi a wo pese wo de dwumadi ho wo de dwumadi bi ho apese bo hu de huro de ma wo de na wa fa number na e da ni mu na say wo ne akasa kama na be de dwumadi ho e de ama wo makramo